welcome to our practice today. We're going to be going through a nice yen sequence. So we'll mostly be on the ground today. We're going to need 2 blocks and a strap. So make sure you have those nearby. And just a couple reminders before we get started. Within a yen practice, we want to push ourselves to a point of uncomfortability, but not pain. So something that you can sit with for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, depending on what the pose is. And the point here is to kind of find your edge and sit in it and breathe in it for a while. So we're going to begin in a nice, easy seated pose. And just start by shutting down the eyes. We'll take a moment to settle into the space and into our practice. So you can just start seated. You can maybe have a block underneath your sit bones. Just whatever is the most comfortable seated position for you. And go ahead and shut down the eyes. And we'll just start by bringing awareness to our breath. And just noticing where it's at, not really trying to control it in any sort of way. Just noticing if it's in our chest or if it's in our belly, how deep or shallow, how fast. Just kind of taking inventory of where you're at right now. And then we'll slowly begin to breathe into our bellies. We'll start expanding the belly outward. We'll hold for a few moments. And then we'll exhale and hold for a few moments. And so we'll move through this nice belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. And we'll do it at a nice little count. And I will count for you. So we'll inhale with a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, and then exhale for a count of 3. So beginning here shortly, exhale everything out so we can begin. So inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And then I'll hold this count. You can take it at your own pace for the next several rounds. Wherever you are, just complete whatever round you're in. And then letting the breath return to a nice natural pace, natural rhythm. Keeping the eyes closed. And then once again, taking inventory of where you're at in your body. Just noticing how everything's feeling. Maybe starting with awareness at the top of the head and then just slowly moving down all the way to the toes. Just taking this moment here, really settling and grounding into our practice. And then whenever you're ready, slowly flutter the eyes open and we'll start to begin. So our first pose that we're going to take and sit in for 3 minutes on each side, we'll do the right leg and the left leg, is gonna be Agni Stambhasana, or fire log pose. So with this one, it could be helpful to have a block underneath your sit bones so that you can bring your hips up a little bit higher. That's what I'm going to do here. And then with our fire log pose, we're basically going to stack each leg on top of the other. And the goal here is to eventually have your shins parallel to each other, but that could look different for everyone. So we also have the option to remove the block if that feels a little better. I just decided that that's going to feel better for me today, so you can always switch it up. Take a second to get to that point where you're going to be able to hold this pose for 3 minutes on either side. So just taking a moment to adjust. The goal is to have our left ankle on top. I'm sorry, I didn't even mention that at first. So we're going to do it with the left foot first, left ankle on top of the right knee, attempting to get the shins parallel. And then from here, if you do have a bit more flexibility in your hips and you're pretty seasoned at this pose, even leaning forward a bit and it could bring you to an edge that you're not feeling in just the upright position. Otherwise, once we find a place that we can sit for 3 minutes, go ahead and shut down the eyes and tuning into our breath here. So focusing on the inhale and the exhale. Maybe we bring that constriction into the back of the throat. And as you hold this pose, just tuning into the body, noticing how it's feeling, becoming aware of this edge that you've pushed yourself to, contemplating how you can become comfortable within this edge, maybe even pondering how that can relate to life when you find yourself in uncomfortable positions and you want to grumble through it like my lovely assistant here today. And just knowing how this is a part of life and that it's important to be able to find that sense of comfortability in between those uncomfortable times. Breathing deeply. Maybe noticing if your knees are starting to sink a little closer to the floor with every breath. And resting in this moment of stillness, in this moment where we are at our edge. Okay, and fluttering the eyes open, and we'll slowly begin to come out of this pose with ease and being gentle. So maybe even using our hands to grab our left foot and gently lift it off of our right knee. And if it feels nice, maybe just extending it outward for just a second, flexing the toes towards the body, engaging the quadricep. Just give just a moment there to bring some blood flow back into the toes. And then we'll switch and take it to the other side. So left foot is on the bottom now, and we'll stack our right ankle on top of our left knee. And then trying to bring the shins as parallel as possible. Taking a moment here to situate and get to a point where we're able to set for 3 minutes or so. And closing down the eyes, bringing that constriction to the back of the throat. And then immediately taking inventory, noticing where we're at, comparing this side to the other. Is our knee higher or lower? Do we feel tighter or more open? And again, just pondering how it's possible for us to become comfortable in these uncomfortable situations. Noticing that with every breath, that edge that we found feels a little more acceptable, accessible. Resisting the urge to fidget or move. Just really using the breath to guide you through this process. Just continuing to use that breath not only as a guide for the physical process, but for the mental process as well. Just giving you a point to focus on so that it's easier to continue to be still. And then you can go ahead and flutter the eyes open and we'll start to come out. So again, maybe using your hands to physically lift your right ankle off of your left knee. And then again, we can extend that right foot outwards, just flexing that toe towards our face. And then from here, we'll take it to Upavishta Konasana, so wide-legged forward fold. So maybe sitting back closer to the back edge of your mat, and then bringing the feet out wide. So as wide as you can bring them into like maybe a nice V shape, or maybe even all the way out into a like a wide split, if that's accessible for you, if that's what's going to bring you to your edge. And then we have a couple different options here too, depending on your accessibility. If you feel like you're at your edge sitting upright like this, perfect, that's where you're going to stay. Next option is you can bring a block in front of you, just kind of directly, maybe in line with your knees roughly, and that brings a place for you to rest your forearms. And if that's where you can find your edge, great. You can also turn the block to its lower setting, or if it's accessible for you to rest your forearms on the ground. The main thing we want to keep in mind here is that we're keeping our pelvis tilted maybe even scooting the fleshy bits away from our sit bones, so that we can bend forward, reaching the ribs and the chest towards the earth first. We're not going to round out in the spine too much here, just kind of trying to keep more of an upright position today. So take a second to adjust and find your edge. And we'll hold this pose for about 5 minutes or so. So settling in, making sure to keep the toes flexed and upright. This helps engage the quadriceps, which can just relieve a little bit of that stretch you can feel in your hamstrings. And then we'll start to close the eyes down and then tap into that breath again. So breathing deep, bringing that constriction into the back of the throat. Choosing to commit to stillness. And always using our breath. Again, I can say it over and over again to guide you through this physical and mental process. Allowing each inhale to sort of open you up, and each exhale can allow you to relax deeper into this edge that you have found. And the breath can also be used as a sort of distraction from this uncomfortability. And just being mindful of the spine here too, making sure that you're not rounding out, dumping into the lower back, just keeping some integrity. And almost like a meditation, if you notice your mind start to drift or wander, just becoming aware of that and then bringing that awareness back into the body, back into the breath. And then if you've closed your eyes down, maybe slowly start to flutter them open, and we'll gently begin to come out. So you can just start to walk if you are bent over, forward fold style, start to walk your hands towards yourself, gently coming back into an upright position. Go ahead and remove the block out of your way if you did use it, but keep it nearby. We're going to need it for our next posture as well. And then from here, for me personally, I kind of like to gently bend the knees, kind of alternating them, sort of bopping the back of my knee onto my mat, just sort of left and right, just to bring a little bit of gentle movement back into the legs before just cinching them back in towards each other. And then whenever you're ready, maybe even again, physically using your hands to gently bring your legs back towards your center line, maybe keeping the knees bent, the feet can come to rest on the mat in front of you. And then maybe even just grabbing the front of the shins with the hands and taking a moment to almost take a seated cow pose, just reaching the chest forward. And then on the exhale, just a little gentle cat. And then we'll begin to shift to a supine position. We're going to take a supported bridge, and we'll be in this one for about 5 minutes or so. So again, using our block here, and there's a couple different options that you can take. So you can either use it on its lowest level, on its mid-level, or on the highest level, just kind of depending on where you're gonna find your edge. So we'll come to lie down on our backs, and our feet are flat on the floor, and you can kind of use your hands as a sort of measuring. So reaching your hands down and seeing if you can gently graze the back of your heels with your fingertips. And if you can, you have yourself in a nice, your feet are in a nice position from your bum. And we want our feet to be in line with the knees in line with the hips. And then from here, we'll slowly start to lift the hips. And then maybe even shrugging the shoulders closer towards the spine, just to allow your heart to come upwards a little more. And then placing the block underneath your sacrum. So it's not underneath the fleshy bit of your bum, it's not underneath your back. We're placing it right at the bottom of the spine underneath the sacrum. So take a moment to adjust the block and find that edge that you're going to be able to sit in for roughly 5 minutes. And you can either place the hands on the ground on either side, if it feels good, maybe resting the hands on your ribs or on your belly or on your hips, whatever feels good for you. And then we'll gently start to breathe deeply into the belly. Closing down the eyes if that feels good. Maybe noticing how this pose in comparison to our first several is maybe a bit more of a restorative feeling. This edge is a little different in this position. And always committing to stillness. Using that breath to guide you through and help you keep that commitment. Noticing any sensations in the body, checking in with the mind. If it's drifted away, bringing it back to the breath. tuning into those sensations in the body. And then slowly fluttering the eyes open, we'll gently start to come out of this pose. And before you do anything, the first thing that we want to do is kind of bring some activation back into the glutes, so that we can protect our lower spine. So we're not just immediately lurching out of this pose and then compromising our low spine. So one way we can do this is if you did have your hands like up on your ribs or hips or upper body, just go ahead and place your hands back down on the floor, kind of reaching towards your feet, anchoring them down really nicely. And then we'll begin to gently activate the glutes, and we're going to slowly lift our hips off of the block and then just place them right back down. So this almost sort of pulse, like lift with the hips, using the glutes. So do that a few more times. Inhaling as you lift. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale, lift. And this time, remove the block. And then exhale, gently lower, one vertebrae at a time, until the spine is completely flush with your mat. And then just pausing here for a moment, just letting the spine rest on the earth. Just noticing any sensations in the body, how you're feeling. We'll just gently start to bring the knees in towards the chest. You can just grab the front side of your knees, flexing the toes, and then very slowly and gently pulling the knees towards the chest. And hold here for just a couple breaths. And then we'll slowly start to bring our feet back down to the earth. And go ahead and grab your strap. Hopefully it's nearby. Otherwise, just maybe hop up, grab that for a second, and we'll meet you back on the mat. We're going to go into a reclined hip series here. Supta Padangustasana is what we're going to start with. So this is a reclined head to toe pose. So we'll start with the right leg first. So we'll go ahead and extend this left leg all the way out. If it does feel better for you to keep that foot on the ground with the knee bent, that's also an option. So go ahead and wrap your strap around your foot. You can either hook it like a loop and then hook around the foot, or you can bring the center of the strap around the bottom ball of your foot, your choice. Just a couple different options there, whatever feels best for you. I personally like to loop mine around and hook it on. And we'll begin with the heel stacked directly over the knee, which is also stacked over the hip. And again, options for the left leg. You can either keep it bent with the foot on the ground, or if it feels good to you and accessible, to extend that foot all the way outwards. And we'll begin by gently pulling our right toe towards our face here. Just bringing it into whatever edge is for you. Maybe your foot is more out at an angle like this. Maybe your foot is directly above your knee and above your hip. If you need to invite a little small, gentle bend into the knee, that is okay. That makes you feel a little bit safer in your knee. But taking a moment again just to find that edge and that point where you're going to be able to hold this for about 2 or 3 minutes. Again, always using that breath. Noticing how it's easier to feel the belly rising and falling in this supine position. Choosing to commit to stillness. So finding a comfortable grip with your hands on the strap so that you're able to do that. And choosing to keep the left leg that's on the ground active if you do have it extended. So keeping those toes flexed towards you, just keeping that left leg engaged. And then taking a couple more breaths here. And our next move is going to be to let our right foot fall outwards towards the right side of our body. So bringing a nice stretch into that right inner thigh. So a couple things to note before we do this. You're going to bring the strap into just your right hand, and then maybe physically placing your left hand on top of your left hip just to maintain integrity there. We want the hip and glute to stay connected to the ground and keeping that left toe flexed. And so we'll take a big inhale, and then on the exhale, slowly start to drop that right foot outwards towards the right. And so depending on your flexibility and where you can find your edge, your foot may just go slightly out to the right. Maybe it comes to about a 45-degree angle. Maybe it comes almost all the way to the earth. But you can use your elbow here to prop onto the ground, your right elbow, and then adjusting, bringing that strap in as tightly as comfortable without being painful. And then we will find a nice edge here, and we'll hold this for another 2 or 3 minutes. So maintaining that integrity in the left leg, making sure that hip stays down, left toes are flexed. Maybe even noticing as you breathe that the right leg can gently begin to come closer and closer to the earth. And it's just that nice gravitational pull that allows you to open up a little easier. Continuing to find that edge. Also focusing on keeping both shoulder blades on the ground. If your left shoulder blade starts to come up off the ground, maybe coming back a little bit. And another few breaths here. And just holding that while you breathe, I'll let you know where we're headed next. So we'll gently start to bring our right foot back up to center line. We'll pause for a breath or two there, and then we'll start to take it over to the left side. So on your next inhale, start to bring that right toe back towards the center line, maybe even using your left hand to pull the strap towards the center line. And if you didn't already put the strap in your left hand, go ahead and do that now. We'll take another deep inhale here. And then on the exhale, we'll let that right foot start to fall over to the left. And maybe it's just slightly. Just depends on where you're at with your outer right leg. We're going to be stretching that IT band, outer hip. So maybe you just stop with it very slightly over the center line, keeping that left leg and foot engaged always. And if you are a little more flexible here, maybe your right foot is coming pretty far over, nice 45-degree angle or even deeper. Just always maintaining integrity in that left leg and then keeping both shoulder blades flat on the ground. Again, you can prop your left elbow here to kind of make it easier to hold onto the strap, maybe even wrapping the strap around the hand so you're not gripping on it so hard. And again, we'll hold for 2 or 3 minutes. And then fluttering the eyes open, we'll start to bring that leg back to the center line. So maybe using your right hand to come across, grab the strap, gently bringing it to the center. And we'll pause here in center for just another couple breaths, maybe pulling that toe towards you using the strap. And exhale. And then gently releasing the strap, letting that knee bend, reaching down, unhooking the strap from your right toe, extending that right foot down, and just lying here for just a moment on our backs. Just noticing the difference in the right and the left leg. And then we can bring our right foot to the earth, a nice gentle bend in the knee. And then we'll hook our strap onto our left foot. So taking a moment to get that adjusted, and then extending that left foot up towards the ceiling and hanging onto the strap with our left hand this time, or both hands if you have it in the center. And then if it feels good for your right leg, you can either keep it here in a bent position, or you can take a moment to extend that right foot all the way out. And again, keeping that integrity, the right toe stays flexed towards the body, keeping that right quadricep engaged. And then gently starting to pull on that strap, finding that edge. And again, we will hold for around 2 or 3 minutes. Always breathing into the belly. And then slowly start to make our way to dropping this left leg out towards the left. So if you have the strap in both hands, just bringing it just to the left. And we'll take a big inhale first. And then on the exhale, we'll start to let that left leg fall out to the left, and maybe bringing our right hand to the top of our right hip just to gently hold it in place. And then again, finding that edge. It could be that your left foot and leg move slightly. It could be that it moves quite a bit. You can brace your left elbow on the earth, wrapping that strap around the left hand so that you're not gripping it so tightly. Keeping that right leg engaged. Left foot is all out as far as you can go. And again, we'll be here for around 2, maybe 3 minutes. Always focusing on the breath. Keeping both shoulder blades on the ground. Making sure that right hip and glute stays on the ground. Right foot is engaged. Then we'll gently start to bring that left foot back to center line. So maybe bringing the right hand all the way over to grab the strap. And gently starting to draw the left leg inward. We can pause here in the center for a breath. Inhaling in, exhaling out. And then putting the strap in our right hand. We'll take another inhale, then gently letting that left leg come across the center line. So we're stretching that IT band on the outside of the left leg, and maybe it comes just a little bit past center line. It doesn't have to be very far, but find your edge. And then pausing here for, again, 2 or 3 minutes. Always maintaining that integrity in the right leg, keeping those toes flexed, quadricep engaged, spine is flush with the earth, shoulders are flush with the earth. Pardon my other assistant. Just a nice fun reminder that when we're in these practices, there can be many outward things trying to distract us. And whether they're welcome distractions or not, like a sweet little cat maybe. So maybe you taking an opportunity in those moments to bring the awareness back to the breath and the body and this experience that you're having here on your mat. And we'll start to bring our left leg back to the center line. Maybe taking a moment to have one last stretch in the back side of that left thigh. So pulling the strap and the toes towards your face. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, gently start to release that left foot and strap. And we'll go ahead and remove the strap from our foot. And you can go ahead and place it off to the side. We will not be needing it again for the rest of our practice. So just getting that out of your way. And our next posture, our last posture before we take our final Shavasana, is going to be Happy Baby Pose. And we'll just hold this one for about 2 minutes or so. And so a couple different options for you to find an edge that's comfortable to sit in for 2 minutes. It could just be that you bring the knees towards the chest. They're out wide, feet are flexed, and maybe you're just grabbing the front of the shins. And if that's going to be the best way for you to hold this for about 2 minutes, just pausing there. Otherwise, next option could be starting to bring the knees even closer towards the armpits and then grabbing the front of the shins, wrapping your fingers around your shin and calf area. And then third option here could be that you bring your hands all the way to the outer edge of your feet, really sinking the knees in towards the armpits. So find a moment to figure out where your edge is going to be with this pose, and then we'll begin to hold for around 2 or 3 minutes. And with this posture, just noticing maybe with each inhale, you can feel that belly expand out against your inner thighs. And with the exhale, maybe even feeling the knees come a little bit closer to the earth. But otherwise, choosing to commit to stillness. We've got about another minute or so here. This last push, this last home stretch, so just really committing to being exactly where you are. And now we'll gently begin to release. So maybe if your hands are on your feet, just bring them to your shins first. Starting to come out of this pose slowly. Then maybe bringing the hands to the knees, just ever so gently letting the feet come all the way back down to the earth. And then we'll pause here for just a couple of breaths with our feet on the earth, knees bent. You can place your hands on your upper thighs. And just taking a few breaths here, just slowly letting some blood come back into those hip creases. And then whenever you're ready, you can slowly start to extend both feet all the way towards the bottom of your mat. And maybe noticing how that front of the hip crease is opening up after happy baby. Maybe taking a moment to just give it a nice little massage, just a little rub. And then letting the hands fall out towards the sides. Palms are facing the sky. Taking a second to slightly shift the shoulder blades down the spine. Allowing the heart to come upwards and open towards the sky. And closing the eyes down if you haven't already. And then we'll take a last 2 or 3 rounds of breath here together with intention. Breathing deep into the belly, expanding it out with the inhale. And exhale, drawing the navel towards the spine. And take 2 more rounds of breath just like that. And maybe with your last exhale, exhaling out through the mouth. Before letting your breath return to just a nice natural pace and rhythm, no longer controlling it, just letting it come and go as it does. And we'll take a very nice long Shavasana today for this practice, so maybe around 8 minutes or so, maybe 10. But again, choosing to commit to stillness, keeping the eyes closed down. Allowing the body just to absorb this practice. Gently start to bring our awareness back into the body. Just checking in, noticing where the breath is at. And then maybe starting to deepen that breath, intentionally breathing into the belly. Maybe starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes. You can roll the wrists and roll the ankles. Maybe stretching the hands all the way outwards, pointing the toes all the way out, flexing them back towards your body. Or maybe even taking a full body stretch, bringing the arms all the way up and over the head, pointing the toes, and relaxing again. And then we'll slowly and gently start to come into an upright and seated posture. So you can either roll onto your right or your left side and then gently push yourself up. Or you can bring the knees in towards the chest, kind of giving yourself a hug and then rolling on the spine, coming into an upright position. And finding a comfortable seat, keeping the eyes closed. We'll just take a couple of breaths here. Just really integrating this practice, thanking ourselves for showing up here on the mat, and dedicating this time to our mind, our body, and our spirit today. So a couple more breaths here. On your next inhale, bringing the palms into a prayer position in front of the heart center. Again, offering thanks to yourself for showing up here today. The light in me honors and recognizes the light in you. And bringing your thumbs to your third eye center, taking a big inhale. Namaste, and exhale and bow.